Hey there, rulers. Welcome back to the Tournament Report. Today we're going to be taking a look at the recent GP in Vienna, Austria. Let's dig in.
This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and FoulLibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists. It's also brought to you by our guest lecturer patrons, Vite Ramen. Class is in session.
All right, rulers, let's dig into all of the different rulers that we saw here in Vienna. It was actually held in Moodling, which I think is the correct way of saying that. I hope I'm right. In Austria, here is the ruler breakdown. We had 3 Falchion, Aristella, and Machina each. There was about 24 players, so that's a pretty big chunk already. 9 of the 24 players are playing some of the best decks that won in the last GP that we had here in the United States, as well as Zeus players. So half the field in and of itself was playing high tier meta stuff. We also had Asuka. Dante Asmodeus showed up, and then we had one of Typhon and Vega, as well as 2 Wolfgang 2s. And the reason those the Typhon and Vega list is in this actual count here is because it actually topped, but we'll talk about that more in just a moment. So if you like the Moonchild breakdown, well, here you go. Here it is. So obviously Light Moonchild is highly prized right now. A total of 9 of the contract rulers were playing Light Moonchild in some fashion. This card is doing so much work as a ruler because it can shut down a ton of combo plays, which are, part and parcel in the meta right now. Fire Moonchild, as predicted, is also really high up there. Just stop a cancel from your opponent. I personally think Fire Moonchild is going to see a lot of play as the game goes on, maybe even Light Moonchild too, but close behind that is Darkness Moonchild. Clearly these are the best 3. We even had one person playing Water Moonchild and no Wind Moonchild at all. Wind Moonchild, it's not really standing up to the test of time. I'm sure for some folks who remember Force of Wind as a huge meme in the community, they're kind of breathing a sigh of relief that we don't have a Wind Moonchild in the Moonchild breakdown. But let's move on now to the actual deck list. So we are taking a look here at first place. Andreas Heiglauer winning with Zeus. Zeus by no means is bad. It's just not nearly as broken as it was in previous formats before we had the ban list come through. So you're going to be seeing pretty much all of the same basic things. There's not much going on here that should be too much of a shock. Pretty much everything is exactly the way it was, maybe other than main decked Evil Elemental Uprising or Inferno might be a little bit different for most folks, but for the most part, the deck is exactly the same across the board. It's just a good toolbox. It has a lot to offer still. Do not count it out. What's most interesting here, in addition to all this, is we're still seeing Vizjerei, which I think is also really interesting. There's only one edition in the deck, but it's here. So, if you happen to get into your Ice Shackles in the sideboard, great. That's awesome for you. The Vizjerei is alive at that point. So anyway, guys, this is the top deck. It's not super amazing, but I do want to give congratulations to Andreas. Congratulations for getting first place. Next up, we have Dominic. I'm going to just call you Dominic. I do not know how to pronounce your last name at this exact moment, but he's playing what we've seen as like a combo Falchion. What's really cool about this deck, and I was kind of looking at this before, I'm thinking specifically of the Bardius Bard, Josh Mostart himself, Campanella, making an appearance in this game for the first time in a very long time. So why are we playing this of all things? Well, Campanella searches out your Zeus Alice, which is a fairy tale, by the way, naturally, but it's also like every race, so it doesn't really matter. And while you are searching for her, you can get a Warhorse, which is really solid. Of course, you have all of these additions, you have all of these chants, and of course you have stones up here as well, which can be put into the graveyard, so you can actually activate Zeus Alice and get all of her effects if you want to. But that's there, so that's really kind of great. In the sideboard, you're going to be noticing Lightning Cave, which I think is one of Falchion's better additions right now, as well as Ice Shackles. Card is amazing. Even though it shuts down your own Moon Children, my experience of playing Falchion is he doesn't really care. He just wants to sort of tighten the noose around what you are doing. So in addition to all of this, he's playing a couple of Mikey to duplicate all of his additions. He's of course playing the 4 Warhorse next to the 4 Campanella. He's playing a few Feathsing. I don't see why not. You have a ton of additions. And then he's playing 2 of Sealed One-Eyed Dragon. This card's getting a lot of mileage in this format. Next up, in the Chance, we have just your basic Fog in the format right now. Intimidation. Alice's Castling. Super fun to see this card. You can, I believe, Campanella into a Mikey, which is really fun, or even into a Sealed One-Eyed Dragon if you wish to. You can tag out your Warhorse for a Feathsing on your opponent's turn, which is super fun. This card is just amazing. It's one of Jeremy's favorite cards. When it first released, it was just so fun to see. Charge the Fairy Tale King, really good card right now. Get your Campanella, get a Warhorse, Campanella triggers, get another Warhorse plus your Zeus Alice. I mean, this card is just fantastic. So for any Fairy Tale deck, this card is a really good win condition. Falling into the Cracks of Time, another really good Anti-Machina card. And 4 Daily Research, which is why you're playing Falchion in the first place. Get a free tutor of any of your additions, including the 2 we took a look at in the sideboard. We have Seal of Lenneth, really good addition, good source of removal. You can use Mikey to duplicate it, which is really fun. Road to the Sacred Queen, another super strong addition. All your opponent's Resonators come in tapped, which is super fun. Fountain of the Oblivion Moon. Who would have saw this coming? This card has not seen any play, but you are running Campanella, so you can grab this off of Campanella if you want, plus get a Warhorse, which is super fun. Trishula, Ramp of Stone, and if your stuff is big enough, you also get Piercing, and a big bunch of stats as well. You Cannot Blow Up My Moons edition. The First Moon, also a moon that you can grab off Campanella. This card is super fun. Prevents all of your stuff from being destroyed, which works really well with the Great Wall as well. I think we talked about that last time. And then a couple of Diversity Palaces. Dude, are we seeing a reemergence of Alice, Palace, Falchion control? I think we might be. And then of course a few Origin of the Seven Lands to give you access to things like your Dragon of Solari for additional damage, your Shark for additional drawing, and your Dry Wings to give you free will. So we can't complain about that. This list is actually really fun. It's very different than the other Falchions list we saw here in the United States after our GP in Caseyville. I just think it's really cool that we're seeing Campanella actually being used as a linchpin. So congratulations to Dominic for getting second place. What a cool list. Next up, we're looking at Christian Trejo, who is placed again with the Wolfgang deck. Really good conversion rates all across the board here, but especially for Wolfgang. He was one of 2 that actually entered. And here we are. We're obviously seeing the ratio of 1 Warhorse to 2 Fallen Angel of the Chasm. This is really solid. In addition to 4 Origin of the Seven Lands, we're seeing 4 Mariabella as well to make getting Wolfgang's effect off really easy. We have Mikey for additional Demonic World plays. Fallen Angel of Terminus as your win condition, and then your 4 Sealed One-Eyed Dragon to stop any shenanigans from Black Witch. As far as chance go, it is all going to be anti-combo and anti-addition. That stuff is super important right now. Additions are everywhere. For the first time in this game's history, I think additions are finally starting to see widespread play. It's kind of wild. The additions that you're going to be playing in Wolfgang, you're going to play Graveyard, Permafrost. I personally like this choice. Permafrost is really, really good. Plains to recover your stones, Swamp to make your opponent discard, Temple to make a bunch of tokens, First Lair to deal damage and gain life as a result, Acheron to make attacking something your opponent does not want to do, Amadeus for board wipe, Scorching Mountain Trail to make it so that your opponent is not going to be able to gain life, they'll just take damage instead, so their warhorses feel terrible here. Forest of Darkness to give a neg to the board. 2 Paradise of the Fallen Angels, so if the first one doesn't go off because of a Lorite or something, Paradise will have a second copy in the board. And then because we do have God's Arts back in the game, additional will and indestructible stuff seems pretty good, as well as taxing those God's Arts also seems really good. And then of course we have the 4 Origin of the 7 Lands next to Mariabella, which is going to reveal draw dynamics in the sideboard, give you a free 1-drop from the deck. It's really just solid. Wolfgang is just doing a lot of really, really, really good stuff. Christian opted to play Necronomicon Barrier in the sideboard. I don't think that's a bad idea. Sometimes you don't want to waste your will just trying to make your opponent not get a Warhorse Swiftness effect. And if you need this in a slower game just to trigger out your stuff, this thing is okay. But it's an interesting choice to put this in the side. But it seems to have paid off. So there's that. Witch of the Fallen Kingdom for him is in the sideboard, which is totally fine as well. And then we have all of these other, you have an additional combo hate and addition hate in the sideboard next to your basic Origins package. Bird to gain back 10 life, Dragon to deal 4 damage, Shark to draw a card, Bat to recover your ruler, and then your 2 Drywing. So congratulations to Christian for getting this. I'm still continuously impressed that we are seeing Wolfgang do so well at this point. Next up we have Sasha Jedlika, who got 4th place as well, 3rd to 4th place. He's playing what we've come to expect from Machina decks at this point. The Warhorse package, the Engineers, the Sealed One-Eyed Dragons, the prototypes that you get the search for, Horn of the Sacred Beast to mess with your Zeuses, Selective Decapitation, VIP seats is a little bit different. That seems pretty great. And then Sprinting Steward as well. So for the most part, this hasn't really changed all that much. This is a very favored deck in Europe right now, especially being so close to Germany. I'm sure there was some conversation there with the German guys about this particular list. So congratulations. I'm not going to go super in depth on this one. One thing that might be a little bit different for folks is seeing the Null Magic Stone. This works really well with the Sealed One-Eyed Dragon. So just keep that in mind. This card is super good. Take damage to produce red, do Sprinting Steward, bring out your Sealed One-Eyed Dragons, things like that. That's super fun. So congratulations to Sasha. Next up we have Antoine Hamlin, who's also playing a Falchion list. This time though, we're not seeing Campanella and folks showing up here. What we are seeing is more of a search for additions, counter stuff kind of deck, very control heavy. So first of all, I want to point out that Pharaoh Spell is in the sideboard, and the reason is for this is because we're seeing so many additions and activate abilities doing so much more work. Quick cast stuff is not really the biggest concern in the game right now. It's getting free effects, getting activate abilities, so playing Fair Spell in the sideboard for that rogue matchup where quick cast is still kind of a thing to worry about, I think is probably pretty smart. I also appreciate that he's playing Eternal as one of his cocoons. We have not seen Eternal see a lot of play, but I think that extra will and giving your additions barrier is really, really, really strong. So as you go into your first initial plays here, you're going to be seeing a lot of additions that are just going to be sticking around. You're not going to be able to get rid of them. So we're looking at Lumia for removal and life gain, as well as additional draw. Only a couple of Warhorse, which I think is interesting. Delorious, the space-time vehicle, as another machine next to Mikey, so you're going to be able to get multiple Delorious if you wish to. A couple of Feathsing, Fallen Angel of the Black Witch of the Fallen Kingdom. Anyway, can't talk right now for some reason. And then a few Girion, which I think is actually probably okay. Girion does have a little bit more flexibility with how it's played. as opposed to something like Spell, because it also functions as removal for things like Warhorse or opposing Feet things, other blockers, things like that. Opposing Black Witches as well, because you are still searching with daily research. So I can see why Gideon is going to be played in the main board over Spell. Makes a lot of sense to me. We have 1 Shackles of Ice. I totally approve of this. I think Shackles of Ice, again, does not hit Falchion nearly as bad as the other rulers, like Machina, whose whole engine is contained in his ruler. So being able to get that off, Ice Shackles just shuts that whole thing down. Wind of Zeus, this is the first time we're actually seeing this being used outside of something like, Zeus itself. Wind of Zeus is a really good counterspell because it just removes target spell from the game, which is language for if this card is on the chase, you can just remove it from the game. The last time we had a card with this effect was, I believe, Wind of Salvation? Y'all can correct me down in the comments if that's true. It's the 3-drop green that removes something from the chase. This is the cheaper version of that. Do you feel old yet? Daily research because you're playing Falchion, and then you're playing 2 Kaguya's Moonbeam Butterfly. This card still has legs. It's interesting because you can bring out 1-drops for just 2 will from the deck, which is kind of interesting. You get like things like Alvarez, Curse of Caduceus, etc. So there's actually some value there. This man is playing a blank page, which I think is super, super, super fun. He's also playing Schrodinger in combination with Mikey. I'd be curious to know if he got the infinite off with Mikey and Schrodinger. If you're not sure what that is, let me know and I'll make a graphic or something for that. First Munising playing next to Wall again. This combination is just really, really solid. Origin of the 7 lands at 4, so you can reveal your sideboard and get a bonus effects, and then Outer Space for 1 will. Outer Space is super good against any decks that want to do something shenanigan-y, but I'm wondering how this is doing in the current metagame. I think the only ruler who really cares about doing Judgment might be Wolfgang. I don't know of any others that really care all that much. That and Zeus, I would suppose, right? The deck is super fun. It's just more of a control variation of Falchion that we've seen, so congratulations to Antoine for getting into the top 8. Next, we're looking at the only Vega that entered and the only Vega that topped. Welcome to Benjamin Thanner's list. This man is playing things like Dodgy and Lucifer, as well as Witch of the Fallen Kingdom and Sealed One-Eyed Dragon next to the Berserker, right? Berserker isn't necessarily your win condition, at least that's what I've been told. If you need some additional things, you have Sprinting Steward to lower your life down to, well, really low, and then Inferno to deal additional damage. So there's that. Angelic Battle Barrier to stop combo decks, super fun for that. Dante enters the Game of Gods. This is going to be a staple in the deck in my opinion. Draw 3 for 15, advance your win condition, draw 3 cards, seems pretty good. Decay of the Machines to shut down things like Drywing, which can make your extract here not produce you any additional will, which kind of sucks. And if your opponent's life is down low enough, you can just Last Sacred Sword them and it's over. Curse of Caduceus is a really good replacement for the Cocoon. Curse of Caduceus, really solid. Your opponent can't get any life and then you just drain them for additional life. It's super fun for that. So congratulations for Benjamin. This is just such a fun deck. We actually do have 1 Child of the Wind Moon in the sideboard. This is the only place you're going to find it though. I've not seen this anywhere else except the sideboard. So congratulations to Benjamin. We have David Prada, who got into the top 8 with Typhon. Oh my goodness, you mean Typhon actually has some validity? I think he does. Well, some folks were really worried because we got gutted. We either got to play Blood after the ban list, or you got to play Antibodies. There we go. Just couldn't think of it. It's all live, folks. So what you're going to be seeing here is there are no antibodies in the main. Instead, 27 Typhon's Blood. And I think that's probably the right call. Blood as a card, being free, producing you additional will, getting you cards, super powerful in the end. So I think Typhon's Blood as a control card is probably going to get you to where you need to be. That means you get to fill the rest of your deck with a ton of other things. So we still have Lumia. She has a darkness card in the deck, so she counts, gain a bunch of life, or get rid of something, or both. Count Dracula is here as well. Dark Mage of Mott is finally seeing some play. I've been waiting for this card to actually make a splash. This card is super good. Order it, kill something, kill yourself, and then have your Typhon flip back over after it's revealed a machine. This card is super solid. I really like this card a lot. It's just never seen any play because there's been no reason to. But now that we don't have antibodies, this card actually has some value. Fallen Angel of Fiery Vengeance, super solid. We're also seeing the Lucifer to be able to pop itself and flip your Typhon back over. Mikake Rhea to dump cards. Spirit of Decay. Again, you're not going to be using antibodies, so you might as well play a bunch of life loss. You have so much life that your grave is going to get huge, and then Spirit of Decay is just going to be able to win the game on its own. Witch of the Fallen Kingdom to stop searching. Super good for that. Suya, again, super good card. Was not seeing any play because of antibodies. Dark Alice in Mott. Look at your opponent's hand, get something out of there. Super fun. All of your stones are going to do what you need them to do in order to play your light cards, which is super good. Call of Darkness. Search out any villain from your deck. What can I say? Super good. Dante enters the Game of Gods. I have a ton of life. I'm going to draw 3 cards, or I'm just going to, get a bunch of symbol skills and some stats. That's pretty good. Death Glare, probably one of the best cards for Typhon to get as a control ruler. Death Glare is going to make all of your opponent's stuff cost way more, and I can't, emphasize enough why that's so good. Decay of the Machines, get rid of your opponent's sideboard stuff. This is basically a draw card. Your opponent doesn't get bonus things. More discard in Look of Corruption. Battle comes to an end, and then just remove all of your opponent's good stuff from the game. Seems good to me. Final Battle. I have a ton of life. I'm going to use it to wipe your board. We already talked about Typhon's Blood, and we do have Typhon's Wave of Terror next to Alvarez and Origin of the Seven Lands. I'm going to reveal all my stuff from the sideboard, including Typhon's Cells and Typhon's Heart and Typhon's Wave of Terror. So all my best cards might be combo banned, but I'm still going to do some fun things with all of my stuff. Seeing Typhon actually place, I was kind of talking about this with somebody who was really upset that Typhon got gutted so poorly. Typhon is actually still pretty good. You still have a big stat total. You still have access to every darkness card in the game. Typhon's still good. So congratulations for David proving that. Next up we have another, our last list is Machina, getting into the top 8 once again. Again, very straightforward. It's going to be Dark Alice Rabbit Princess, Warhorse Feith Sing, Sealed One-Eyed Dragon, a bunch of additions, Magic Stone Research Institute to make your dudes huge, Selective Decapitation to foresee and draw additional cards, etc., so on and so forth. High utility deck. It's really, really solid. What else can I say? Not to, say anything about Dennis, right? Dennis Nasty got top 8 with it. It's a really solid deck. If you really want to get good at the game, I think this is a good deck to pick up. Cards are super cheap for the most part, except for the Origins maybe, and the Dark Alices, but you can easily replace those, I think, and still get some interesting play out of this list. But guys, this has been GP Vienna or Moodling, whatever which you choose. This is the top 8 list. Let us know what you thought about this down in the comment section down below. It was 24 players, but I thought it was really cool to see things like Typhon and Vega and some other decks that were really different showing up and actually doing super well. So like I said, let me know down in the comment section down below. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, give us a like if you liked the video, and if you didn't, I guess give us a dislike, but I hope you liked the video. Anyway guys, this has been Paul, signing off.